In this unit, we've been talking about jobs and careers and job titles. Today, I want to spend a little time focusing on what you need to do to get a job. I call this resume vocabulary. These are words that you would see on a resume or on a job application. These are some of the steps you need to go through to get a job. So if you were to say, do a presentation and talk about what it takes to become whatever you want to be when you grow up, this is some of the vocabulary that would be handy. So that's what we're going to go through today. First, let's talk a little bit about education, right? So teaching, education. First, how much education is required? For a lot of jobs, you need to finish high school. High school. So it's fingerspelled HS, but normally we turn that S out, HS. For high school, this is a loan sign or lexicalized sign. It started off as finger spelling, but now that is the sign high school. So it is an S, but it stays palm in, high school. To get a degree, to get a certain job, you might need to go to college. So think about it as school, the next level, college. So it kind of goes up and out. You need to graduate. Graduate, it's a G that twists and lands palm up. Graduate. You might need to declare a major. You can do it with flat hands. I've also seen it with a 1. With the 1, that usually means professional, but major. That makes sense that those go together because often what you major in becomes a profession. So major or major. You get a degree. A degree. And that's really just a classifier for something that's rolled up, right? We talked about that earlier. To be like a plumber is a pipe mechanic. All right, but that by itself is a degree because traditionally, back in the old days when they handed you a diploma, it was rolled up with a little ribbon around it. And that's what it looked like. So that's what the sign is. So again, context is going to let you know what that is. Next we have job. Job. Another lexicalized sign. It started off as finger spelling, J-O-B, but now job, the O kind of gets lost. Well, the O's still kind of there, but the B ends up palm in, job. This is important. Let me show you the sign to become. Become. Like, I want to be this when I grow up. Often we'll sign become. And that's a little different than get. Get. Get is tricky in ASL. Actually, it's not. Get is easy in ASL. Get is tricky in English, and we tend to think in English, and therefore that messes up when we try and use it in ASL. You can only use get if you talk about actually physically taking hold of a thing, right? Something you can hold on to, like you want to get a degree, okay? Because at the end of the day, or at the end of your schooling, they give you that piece of paper, so you get a degree, right? But you can't get sick. I mean, you could physically go out and like grab hold of a virus, I suppose, but it's a different concept. You would become sick would be the better way to sign that. So you got to be really careful about when you use the sign become and when to use the sign get. So get, you physically have to hold on to something like this hair clip. I physically grabbed it and I got it. Okay, but you don't like, if I say, okay, do you get this vocabulary? We don't get it, we get it. Okay, like I said, it's weird in English. It's not ASL that's weird. All right, speaking of college degrees, there are a whole variety of them. Let me show you how to sign them. An Associate of Arts is a 2-year degree, usually. AA, Associate of Arts. You can get a bachelor's degree, that's a BA. You can get a Bachelor of Science degree as well, but it's usually still signed BA, even if you get a Bachelor of Science, unless you're telling specific what your degree is. And like I got a Bachelor of Science in Education. But normally it's just talking about your bachelor's degree, it's BA, because whether that's Bachelor of Arts or just short for bachelor's, either way, that is a traditional 4-year degree. After you graduate with your bachelor's, you may go for 2 more years and get your master's degree, okay? And that's exactly where this sign comes from. There's 4 years of your bachelor's and then 2 more to get your master's. So that thumb sticks out just because you don't want it to get in the way. But so it's 4 and 2 more. I've also seen masters, MA, or like I said, I tend to sign masters. You can also get your PhD. Again, it's not PhD. It tends to be one big movement, PhD. And then if you wanted to get your MD, that is a medical degree. A medical degree. All right, take a minute to review those signs before we move on. Education can be important when trying to build a career, but there are other things that can help you as well, like experience. Experience. I'm not exactly sure the origin of that sign, but in my mind, I think about gray hairs, right? Like when you're, some people, they start graying at their temples, right? Experience, they've lived a long time enough for their hair to turn gray and they have experienced something. So that can be like job experience. That can also be like, oh yeah, I've already experienced that. I know what you're talking about. And if it's been like a really harrowing, awful experience, like, oh, I've experienced that, right? Like it's this really grueling thing that I went through. So experience. Sometimes you need training. Have you seen that sign before? Yes, you have. It's like practice. Practice, training makes sense because that's what training is. It's practicing at the job. You might also be an intern, same sign but initialized with an I, intern. An internship is usually a chance for you to practice the job. It's usually not paid. So internships are common while you're in college. You do that for a summer just to look at a firm to see, do I like this company? Do I like the way they do business? Do I like the job? And they give you all the yucky jobs that you'll do for free. But when you graduate, you have a better chance of getting a job with said company because they've seen how well you work and they've already kind of taught you the ropes. So internship. Next we have interest. Interest. So it's like the sign like, but two-handed. So 5 to 8. Or some people sign it interesting. Kind of an L to a pinch. Interesting or interesting. So it's basically a two-handed like. It's not just like, I like it, I'm really interested in it. Next is required. Sometimes when you're reading a job description, they'll talk about what is required to do that job. So it's like need, but on your palm, and then it pulls towards you. Like, I need these papers, show them to me. That's kind of what I think about. It's like show me, and need at the same time. That makes sense. It's required. Some jobs, lots of jobs, need a license. License. So you might need a driver's license. You might need a teaching license. You might need an interpreting license. You might need a medical license. There's all sorts of things. Some jobs also require a certificate. The difference is a little tricky. Depends on the state and the job and all those things, which is which, but license or certificate. Here's a fun sign for you, just for fun. When your license expires, isn't that cute? Because like it stick. I think that's just a cool sign. And then to get a job, you might need to interview. Some people do it with ones. That's just a conversation. Specifically in interviews with I's, a job interview. Hopefully, cross your fingers, you got the job. And now we need to talk about pay, talk about income. So the sign for income is money that you gather. So it's a compound sign, money you collect. We've already talked about the sign to pay, right? That's a directional sign, like how much are you going to pay me, pay or income. And then how compensation is measured depends on the job. There are all sorts of ways that can be measured and that you're paid. For instance, a lot of, as teenagers, many of you have jobs that are paid hourly. So like hour, right? Hourly, every hour, hour. So you might make, $9 an hour. Sometimes they talk about weekly, so week, but every week. You might get paid monthly. Teachers get paid monthly. You even might get paid, or sometimes, not that you get paid annually, but a lot of times when they talk about a salaried position, like a teacher, they talk about what you get paid over the course of the year. Teaching is a good example of that because there are days where I work 12 and 14 hours a day. There are days in the summer where I don't work at all, but I get paid the same no matter what because I'm paid to do the job, not how much I work. So as long as the job gets done, they're not counting how many hours I work. Obviously, I need to be there in the school day, but that's the concept of a salaried position. So those are calculated annually. You get paid this much money over the course of the year. All right. I hope that vocabulary is useful to you. It will be on the test, and you will definitely need some of that for your projects coming up. And as we move forward, happy signing.